Orion star systems. So these are your messages. Again, these are knowledge seekers, do poop, do poops. I don't know where that came from. Don't do that. I mean, you can have two if you want to. A dual purpose on Earth to improve knowledge and science, technology, and medicine, and also on a soul level to give their heart to the understanding that joy and knowledge can absolutely exist together. Beautiful. So let's see your first message. I invite peace within myself. I ripple this outwards. All right. So this is all about coming together. So this should solidify just, the overall sort of arc of your reading here. Invite peace within. I ripple this outwards. Everything coming in from the inside. And then, of course, rippling out into the world. Let's see. Honoring the cycles. You have. I'm going to make sure you can see that without setting fire to. Okay, so you've got revelation. Beautiful. You've got a new earth. It's happening. Keep holding the vision. Gorgeousness. And then you've got keepers of the earth. You are not alone. Ancient ancestors stand beside you or behind you. So you have this beautiful vision here. You have this, you're holding space for the new earth. True about bringing the joy and the knowledge that you have together. All of the knowledge that you have, and also finding the joy within it. So a lot of what's going on for you is this revelation of how you honor yourself and how you honor your truth. The first thing that's coming up is that it's absolutely wonderful to honor that everybody has their own reality, and they do. Everybody's convinced that their reality is the right one, and that's fine. It's great to be grounded into your own reality because you've spent so much time creating it. You have every right to it, right? Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. So, for you, you're ready to accept everybody else's reality. And you also see it in many ways as their own reality. They've got it, but you allow in all of the different realities to come in. And sometimes that can really overwhelm you, and it can kind of shift sort of your reality, because your reality is constantly shifting, ever evolving. It's not that you don't stand for anything, you do. It's not that you don't honor where you're coming from, but it's almost like there's a part of you that's always looking for more information, always looking for more information. I'll make my decision when I have more information. And while that is wonderful because it has you have an open existence, that's absolutely gorgeous. And also you sort of have that flexible aspect to you. If somebody comes up with, even if you're doing something, comes up to you and, and they present something to you that you didn't previously really have an inclination toward, but you're like, you know what, that makes sense. Okay, I'm ready to shift here. You kind of got me. You don't have me here, but you got me there, So you have that. In that way, you're quite flexible, which is absolutely wonderful. And it's not that it works against you in any way, but this idea of always wanting more information before you move forward. At some point, you've got to solidify and just go for it, right? But also have that firm foundation where you're remaining flexible, always researching, and always ready to sort of shift and change. And whatever represented you or whatever you believed 2 years ago may not be the case now. And that's fine. You're not rigid in your thought systems, but you're always constantly looking for something outside of yourself. It's almost like that scientific mind to prove, right? Always looking in, and that's, it's not that it's gone against yourself, but it's stopped you from making decisions in the past, which could have gotten you in different places, which is totally fine. Whatever you've done, it's fine. You didn't miss out on this great life or anything dramatic like that. Whatever's meant for you is coming in for you, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. But sometimes you've made things a little bit more difficult for yourself than you needed to be. The other thing is that while you're flexible and open, you let in all of these other realities that come in. And while you're sifting through, because that's what you do with that scientific and practical mind of you, while you're sifting through some elements of truth, I can use that. That's all rubbish. But I can use this. That's interesting. And still honoring where everybody's coming from. You don't think that they're rubbish. It's just it doesn't work for you, right? You, under no circumstances, believe that one reality created for absolutely everybody. You've never believed that. Absolutely never believed it. It was absolutely incredible to you that so many people would believe in God, or so many people would believe in that without a certain amount of evidence or whatever. Like, people believing one thing for you, like on a mass scale. It's kind of funny in a way. It's kind of fun. Even if even if you stand for this, or I'm going to do this, there's still an element of you where you're thinking autonomously, but they work for you and you've done them. But this mass consciousness that everybody does the same thing, everybody goes to school, everybody does this, it's not for you. It's never been for you. But this constant looking for sort of the holy grail of everything to fit into place, where I've got all the information now, and in that allowing in so much other information, and 99.9 of it is pure opinion and misguided, and that's just the way it is, because people build realities on all sorts of different things, right? That's also overwhelmed you and kept you sometimes from really understanding sort of what you stood for a little bit. So it's almost like this search has become so search worthy that you forgot to search for yourself a little bit, right? But this is something that you're coming into. This is something that you're really understanding. And with everything that we've been through, and we all know what it is in the last 2 years, obviously there's been a lot of ups and downs, and there's been a lot of everything's coming up to the surface, which is absolutely wonderful, actually, because before it was there and people could sense it, and there was darkness, and, but it was sort of, it was hidden, and it was, in the subconscious, it was that everything's up now. And I know that it looks like chaos to a lot of people, but it's actually beautiful because we can see it all now. When we can see it, we can work through it, and you can see people sort of, not everybody's going to shift and change and become flexible, but I've seen a lot of people sort of shift and change and go, actually, I am getting that, and they, rigid 3 months before, and there's no reason to be like that, and shifting through everything so quickly because everything's up, right? It doesn't work for everybody, and that's fine. Some people will be stuck in their ways, and that's the truth of who they are, and we have to honor that, But the fact that it's all up there, we're able to move through this energy a lot quicker than we're giving ourselves credit for on a spiritual level, I think, So there's a lot of beauty in the chaos, but that's how your life has kind of been even before this. So before this happened, where everything was coming up like the way that it is now, you were prepared for this. So even though, I'm not saying that you didn't have any stress, or you didn't have your ups and downs, and you didn't go through these processes, high levels of sort of ascension and putting yourself through all of this. You've been through so much and come through so much, and you've done so much healing and so much inward struggles, looking at everything in the last 2 years than most people would have done in 10 years. And so, there was energy there, it wasn't, completely easy for you. But at the same time, you were kind of born for this. Your mentality was kind of born for this. You were like, everything's out there now. Let me sift through it. Let me figure it out. I mean, this was what you were sort of meant for. So you handled it on a different level than other people did, actually, and kind of kept your version of sanity a little bit more collected than other people did in some ways. I mean, there might have been things like finances and things, tangible things that, were upsetting and had to be figured out. But at the same time, there was an element of you that you realized it provided a real container for you. That and the other, you actually saw it as, this is how I've been living. This is how I've been seeing most of my life. Now I get it. It's on a global form. So I can actually work with this. I've been working with this energy. I need to go within. I need to do what I need to do. This is my chance to really bring it home, right? Whereas everybody else was dealing with this energy for the first time. So they're out in the streets, they're doing this, they're doing that. And all of that's part of the journey. It's absolutely wonderful. Everybody needs to do whatever they need to do. But you already did that journey. So when this came up, it provided a container for you to go, all right, I got this. And you were able to really go in there, and you had these revelations about life from 3D to 4D to 5D coming in. This is you understanding this container and being able to work with it in this really beautiful way, right? Again, not that you didn't have ups and downs. We don't want to say you've been having a party for the last 2 years. That's not what we're saying. But you were able to work with this energy in this incredible way and be able to have these incredible insights and these incredible revelations in ways that people are working incrementally through. You were able to really click into that. And this is something that you really absolutely realize on an absolute level, that really sort of integrated into your soul, that it's all about your inner. It's all about taking responsibility for the inner. Now, a lot of people are saying that, and they're still projecting on the outer. And again, that's all part of how we move through this. This is something that you've done before, though. You'd already done that part of the healing process. You'd already done that part of the sort of the spiritual awakening process. So this was your time to take advantage of that container and really go within it. What do I need to do? And that presented its own problems too. That was tough too, because there was a lot of stuff that needed to come up, and it did for you, and you handled it valiantly. You absolutely did, without a shadow of a doubt. You did not run, and there were many ways that we could have run. There's many ways that people are still running, even though everything's come up to the surface. But there's many things that you could have done, and even if you started to do them, they didn't work out because there was something on a soul level that said no. That's not what we're doing. We're going to take this opportunity, and it is an opportunity, and we're going to run with it. This is the biggest opportunity you've got with your life. Everything that you've been working toward has brought you to here, and now we're going to bring it home, and you did. So this is you solidifying that energy. And it's an incredible feat, really. And this is a way for you to really stand in your authenticity in a way that you've never really allowed yourself to do. I mean, in a certain extent, you know, after a couple of drinks or in a certain atmosphere, you brought yourself into elements of your sort of goofiness or elements of your authenticity. But it's not something that was aligned with you all the time. It's not something that you had at your forefront, ready to sort of be out there. It's parts of you that you hid, and you put them in little boxes. And when it was safe to come out, they all came out. This is about you standing in your authenticity and, you know, not looking for the final answer, and realizing that the final answer is you. And it's always going to be shifting. It's just you, and just really understanding that in every cell of your body. So you've got the Prince of Swords coming in. You've got the King of Swords, absolutely. So this is you moving into your authenticity, your articulation, who you are. And it's almost like you never really wanted to step up and say, this is what I believe in, this is what I've done. And it's not because you don't believe in it. It's because, again, empirical evidence. There's going to be other stuff that come in. I could change my mind tomorrow. I don't want to lead people astray, or I'm not really sure, whatever it is. It's perfectly natural, you know, but it's not that, you weren't afraid or ashamed or anything like that. It was just, there was a matter of, there could be more evidence to bring in. I'm not, you know, but you were sure at that time. Now you're just saying, this is what I stand for now. This is who I am. That could shift at any time. That's fine. But creating this really strong and firm foundation for yourself, where you can really infuse your authenticity, and all these little aspects of yourself can come out of these boxes and be integrated fully. So you can stand in who you are and just say, you know, this is what I believe. This is who I am right now. And if you don't like it, that's fine. And I'll always be searching. I'll always be figuring things out. And it may not be me next week, but this is where I am right now. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. This is what I wrote. This is what I believed 10 years ago. This is what I believe now. And shifting your reality, but not waiting for everything to be cemented before you step into that role. So this is an incredible, beautiful thing for you coming. You've got the Ace of Cups. I want to do one more for you also. And you've got that Ten of Wands energy. So you've got this passionate energy, and you've got the Chariot. There you go. So it's all about this movement. And it's all about moving forward the way in which you want to, but it's almost before that you stopped that movement. Again, like you would go off like movement, and then you would stop yourself because, you know, I don't want to go any further until I've done this, that, and the other. I've done this, that, and the other. And again, it would stop you from making decisions or moving forward. When honestly, for you, the best decision sometimes that you've made is like, rocket, I'm just doing it. Because if you thought too much, then you wouldn't do it. And those are the decisions that you needed to do. So, you know, in the past, that spontaneity has really worked for you because it got you out of your head and you just did it. Now, the other side of that is that you maybe didn't really, the ironic thing is in those situations, you probably didn't really research properly and maybe didn't necessarily land on your feet the way that you wanted to. But the thing is with you that you always do land on your feet one way or another. So you never need to really worry about it. But, you know, those spontaneous decisions may have come up with things that you had to deal with on later on, but that was worth the risk for you. Otherwise, you would have stayed wherever you stayed. So But this is about bringing back those two balances where you do have an essence of spontaneity, but with your authenticity, you don't just, in order to move forward, you don't have to move forward in that way. You can make these aligned decisions, stand in the energy that you're in now and just say that's it, but also remain open to where everybody else is and where you are also. But also not really taking in, it's not that you're not giving anybody the chance to be who they are. You are, but you're also not taking in the details of it. You don't need to. For you, it's really important. And this is one of the gifts that you have too. You're able to sift through information, through energy, which is really funny because there's a real practical sense to you, right? But at the same time, you can feel people's energy when they come at you with whatever. If they're telling you 10 facts about the world, right? Only one of them may actually sit with you in a way that you can actually understand from a universal level. The other part of it, the other 9 could be pure conjecture.
Oh my gosh, this woman, like, I've had multiple readings from her, and she's always, just kind of to the point and very knowledgeable and makes sense, and she's droning on and on and on right now, and it is totally Orion in me, because it's like the inability to say a simple thing in a simple way, the over-explaining, too many words, and it's like, it's funny because she's picking up on the energy of who she's channeling through and to, because this is not how she normally speaks. I just had to note that. It was kind of cool. I mean, it's annoying. Now I see how people feel, but it's just kind of cool how it works. Anyway.
Made up, whatever it is, reality that they've made up, misinformed, this, that, and the other. It could be all of that, and you're able to see it all the way through really quickly, but pick up on that one element that's really interesting, and also be able to see on a larger form, deal with what programs they have. We all have certain programs. We've been programmed by society one way or another, right? All these programs are coming up to the surface now. We're being able to see all of this stuff, and it's, again, really exciting. But you're going to be able to break that down and be able to see that, so you can sift through information a lot quicker and really gather the juicy parts, and this is something that other people are not necessarily able to do at this point. They're taking on a lot of different kinds of information, and based on their reality, they're just, if it fits with their reality, they'll bring it in. You're going through absolutely everything, and then even if something doesn't agree with you, or it doesn't really hit home, like we said, that there'll be one part of it that's kind of interesting, though. Let me have a little look into that. So everything that you've been through allows you at this point to really get to the crux of the truth, universal truth, a lot quicker. Are able to get those nuggets, and in that way you're able to really sort of go over on those lines. You're really able to speak to people and really understand people that maybe other people wouldn't have in common with you. You'll put yourself in that position to have that conversation with somebody that chalk and cheese, completely different ways of thinking, but still have some kind of common ground. Not all the time, and you don't need to put yourself into these positions, but you're capable of that. Have this essence, this alignment with spirit. When it tells you that this is right for you, that's it. That's absolutely it. You get that peaceful feeling. You understand it. You don't need to go back on it, because that's absolutely it. That's the reality that you've chosen for yourself. That's what you've been told. And the reality that you're choosing for yourself actually allows in so many other realities, right? That's why it can get a little bit confusing for you and get a little overwhelming for you. You're not like dead set on, even if you choose that one thing, which is very specific, you've chosen it for a very, very different reason, that honestly a million different people wouldn't even like, what? That's the reason you chose that? That doesn't make any sense. Kind of goes against kind of everything. But for you, it's about honoring every aspect of what you've been through. It's about honoring where you are, and where you are is sort of light years ahead of other people in some ways, in the way in which you sort of mix and match information, and the way in which you can show up in the world. Sort of this new community for yourself, and really watching this new community, this new earth sort of play out, where we are moving into a much more compassionate understanding of everybody being who they are. And also there are just plainly different timelines playing out. A lot of people have actually shifted from all of those timelines and are on their separate timeline. But there's an element of different timelines playing out. So you genuinely may not be on the timeline that somebody else is on. That's just the way it is. So comparisons right now aren't really going to do anything for you. And I remember, all of that part and that peaceful part of yourself of being able to really bring in, listen to everybody and really understand where they're coming from and just take the nuggets of wisdom that they have and leave the rest of it. This is something that you can do. This is something that's really going to help you solidify where you are. But this is all about you moving forward. This is all about you making those changes that you've wanted to, and just having faith in those changes and having faith in who you are and having faith that you have enough to move forward. You have enough information, you have enough whatever. And again, you do have this really beautiful connection with spirit. When it tells you that this is right for you, that's it. You don't need to go back and try and make that decision. You don't need to go back and constantly try to figure out if that decision was right for you. It was right for you in that moment. Stand by it. They're not going to tell you absolutely this is the right decision for you and then go next week, oh, hang on a minute, more information. That's what you do. That's not what spirit does. They can see the objectivity part of it and look down. So, if you're doing that, just remind yourself that it's your mind going through that process again. You don't need to drive yourself crazy. So let's get one more card for you. But you're in a beautiful space of bringing this all together and providing this really strong foundation to move forward in a very, very informative and beautiful and light-hearted and gorgeous and authentic way. I choose to nourish myself and enrich my life. And this is really, what it's all about. Orion, star seeds, pile 3. It's all about having a nourishing life and standing for something and just making those choices and not worrying about in the past you may have made choices and then you're oh, I didn't want this, and you spend quite a bit of your time trying to get out of it, and sometimes you were even sort of mentally or physically hurt by some of the decisions that you made. That's understandable. There were experiences that you learned and all of that. We don't need to go through it anymore. That's something you did before. You're not going to do that anymore. You're so clued in to the reality of everybody else's reality and your reality and the truth of what's really going on. Again, to be specific, on a sort of 5D level where everything plays out the way that it's supposed to, that you really cannot make the wrong decision. So stand where you are, but it's all about bringing in all those aspects of yourself that you dumbed down before at the forefront and releasing this beautiful authenticity and moving forward in the way that you want to. This peaceful understanding, but also, again, being really open and flexible and ready to change and shift and whatever happens, constantly learning, constantly getting out there. But also really honing in on your body, and you're being completely free in your body and saying, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, and building that firm foundation and building that life that you want for yourself, not constantly sort of one foot in, testing the water, just do it. If it feels right, just do it. You have the ability, once you step foot in, both your feet in, and you're aligned with spirit, that everything will work out. So you're not being completely spontaneous where you're doing this, or not, you're pulling back and not making a decision. This real beautiful alliance that you have, this beautiful balance that you've got going on to bring in this beautiful inner peace, this beautiful magnetic life where you're just moving along and not constantly doubting yourself, right?